7th. And Brody Grothus for the Hawkeyes here at 141. This is one we're looking forward to.
Well, Brody Grothus down from 149. A couple years ago, this was a dead heat here between he and Brandon Sorensen for the 149-pound weight class, but he's taken it down a notch there as far as the weight goes, and he's a guy that has great range for the weight class. He's actually kind of been down to the weight class for a better part of this month. I think close to Midlands, he was at weighing about 44 pretty regularly after practice. So a guy that the Hawks are going to have a great run at the NCAA championship. They're looking for a guy like this to go out there and score points at the 41-pound weight class. Tommy Thorn, the legacy. Both of his brothers were All-Americans at the University of Minnesota. His dad was an All-American at Iowa State, one of my teammates, and great guy. And he's a guy that likes to keep a really high-paced match. And Grothus is one of those. I thought that this match might be something that you could see some real fireworks in. So far, no really noted shots by either guy. There's a shot by Thorn. He's coming back up. Grothus in pretty decent position. Thorn gives up position. See how he gives the straight legs there, and he's got his back arch. That's kind of almost a chokehold right there. I mean, it's not an illegal hold or anything like that, but he's got Thorn out of position. He can't keep his knees bent. He can bring his hips underneath him. Grothus has done a nice job of tying this up. And if you push in too far here, you could look for something big, some sort of Rico roll. So Thorn being very cautious with the wily Brody Grothus.
Stalemate whistle back to the center, 118. Thorn comes in 25-7, really impressed. The four-time Minnesota State champion. Now here's a legit attack by Grothus on the legs. He's got Thorn on his hip.
He's got to try to get his head out, maybe switch to a double, but Thorn's got the elbow deep around that knee. See how he's elbow deep with his left arm? Now he's got it locked up, and he's got the head stuff, so he keeps on inching that left knee forward. It kind of almost works as like a cradle, keeping the Grothus in a not very athletic position.
Thorn better be careful here.
Well, both guys better be careful. Step over by Thorn, he gets the takedown and no back points, and I think that likely may get a review.
What a great flurry as it stands on the scoreboard, 2-0.
I told you this was going to be a wild one here between those guys, and just when you thought one had the advantage, Thorn does the step over.
Now this
25 seconds.
Crowd comes to life. There's an escape. Short time, 20 seconds here in this first period, 2-1. The Gopher leads it. Thorn this season was third at the Cliff Keen and was fifth at the Southern Scuffle. One thing I like about that, Jim, is winning the final match is closing positive in a tournament.
Always a good thing to go ahead and do that. It shows toughness and endurance.
An exciting first period. Once again, let's head it down to Kara.
Yeah, Brody had a tough road to recovery, had been away from the mat for 13 months. He performed it in tournament about 3 weeks ago in Dubuque, did not do well. On the way back, he was texting with his father, and his father, Ed, asked him what he was doing. He said, I'm going to go to Carver and get a workout. And his father, Ed, said, hey, I'll meet you there. Both of them went inside the room. Ed was on the treadmill, putting in a workout the whole time that his son, Brody, was doing hammer slams against the tire, was doing workouts on the bike and everything else in between. And since then, he came back, he made his debut at Carver with a big win against Purdue's Danny Sabatello. Shane?
Thank you, Kara. 1:30 remaining here in the second period with the escape. Thorn now up by a pair, 3-1.
Yeah, and you know what? That's interesting because a lot of times, Tom Brands and I were talking about this earlier, that you had the option to go ahead and review that call. A lot of coaches might have sat there and said, was that back points or was that not back points? It looked like a pretty strong bridge there for Grothus, so no determination to go ahead and protest that call, because I think that with Grothus being down at this weight for the first few times, you want to keep the pace of the match high. You don't want a lot of resting going on, and it really kind of, for coaches that want to keep the action going and think their wrestler has an advantage here, you kind of give up the protest call there. Could have went either way.
Stalemates. 45 seconds.
Both these guys are capable of breaking this match open with a big 6-point move. Thorn has been in on the shots, and Grothus has had his near arm far leg. Now near arm far leg the other direction there. Thorn coming up, he gets to the far side. Now the scramble begins. Great job of going ahead and get the hip separation off that by Thorn for the takedown.
Thorn now leads it 5-1. And now with 20 seconds left, Jim, so important as he slides the right leg in, finishes period on top.
Well, finishing the period on top, when you put the legs in, guys, there's usually one of two things happen. Reversals, or you ride the guy out, right? We'll see what happens in this situation.
And I know you've never been a big fan of this position.
Well, not at this stage if you're rooting for Thorn. I mean, but he puts the leg in, he's very comfortable, really tough in the top position. So sometimes, you know, if you're up big like in this situation, the reversal puts the guy back in the match.
A takedown in both periods, along with an escape in the second. There you get a look at Jay Robinson, his 30th season at Minnesota.
He's just a great guy to talk to. You know, spent a little time with him before the meet. Such an innovator, and there's Coach Brands.
In his 10th season, both have won national titles at their respective schools.
He was a lot of fun today, too. He had his Bruce Lee shirt on, and I asked him to get in his karate fight stance, combat stance. He was all about it, man.
Well, he'd be happy at 25 and 33. Lots of kabooms at 25 and 33. There's an escape. Now 5-2. Thorn with riding time at 49 seconds.
Yeah, and this is the part in the match where Grothus really has to come over. He's very capable of working double overhook ties, kind of walking in and marching into his opponent right there off the underhook. Now he's in a better position to be able to finish. Not as much hip separation as you saw with Thorn, and Thorn's able to lock that left arm of Grothus is up against his waist. Now he's really difficult to be able to finish, but he's got to go ahead and try to do something, create some sort of scramble right here. He does it. There's the hip separation you're asking for. He's locked the near leg up. Ankle pass situation. We saw this where Imar was not quite able to get that position. Tommy Thorn, a little bit better job of getting through that ankle pass, but he gives up the takedown. Now the Iowa coaching staff calling for an intentional release.
We got ourselves a two-point match. Iowa wants the stall call. 6-4, 42 seconds left.
Well, you saw where Grothus was able to force the underhook with his right arm. Thorn wisely dropping in on a shot of his own.
Thorn stuffed underneath.
Remember, he basically had him trapped right there. These are advantage situations for Thorn. He's got the wrist tied up. He's got the underhook. Grothus has to really kind of do something, take some risk with 19 seconds left to make something happen. Counter shot back in on the leg.
And that's great for Thorn right here. If nothing else, going to take time off the clock.
Look at the wide base he's creating there. It's going to be difficult for Grothus to drive through him and create some angles.
Really impressed with this redshirt freshman from St. Michael, Albertville. And he's a winner tonight. He puts the Gophers on the board, a 6-4 decision. As he improves to 26-7. Tommy Thorn of Minnesota. Big win he'll remember, Jim, his first win here in Carver.